Good morning. Sort of a quiet morning here for me this morning. Not that it's usually noisy, but my emotions are really quiet. Very placid. Almost like no ripples. I don't know whether that's good or bad because truthfully I like feeling emotions. When I feel emotional about something, that's what I usually talk about. And when I'm not feeling much emotion and when I'm not feeling much wind blowing, I'm not always sure what direction I'm supposed to go. Anyway, I did select a title when I came to the computer this morning, although I wasn't exactly sure what it was going to be when I came out of the meditation room, I didn't go to the atrium today. Anyway, the title that I selected is Moving into Higher Dimensions. Part of our discussion last night was about timelines and moving into the fourth and fifth dimensions from the third. Then when I came to the computer this morning following my meditation, Mike Dooley's message for today said, quote, "Dreams come from a future dimension where they already exist, and the dreamers of such dreams have future selves that already live there and are oh so anxious to show you what is truly possible." End quote. I have the sense this is true. And we are well established on timeline 1, which is moving us into higher dimensions of experience. Perhaps that's why I feel such peace, because I sense the truthfulness in what I just read. That indeed, our experience as humans is already in timeline 1 as opposed to timeline 2. Now, if you don't know what the timelines are, we talked about that last night, as I said, and some of the remote viewers and some of the people that were able to go into this, I forget what the machine is called, but it takes you into different time things, and the people that the military were using to do some of these experiments, they kept coming back with timeline 1. And Bill Wood, who we first knew as Bill Wood, then Bill Brockbrader, he was one of the ones that revealed this to us when he was interviewed by Lisa Harrison, and I guess first by what's the lady's name from Project Camelot? I can't remember right now. Doesn't matter. Oh, Carrie Cassidy. It came to me. Anyway, these viewers, these people that were psychically connected, were able to see the timelines. And timeline 1 was, as I already indicated, timeline 1 was where we move into a higher state of consciousness. It's where everything changes and becomes good. Timeline 2 was the plan of the elite to firmly establish the new world order of human slavery on planet Earth. Well, that's not going to happen. The OPPT, put the nail in that coffin once and for all. And I didn't get to hear all of Lisa Harrison's call last night on the, what's it called? I've got it here. The Collective Imagination. I only got to hear the last half hour of it because I was in a meeting until getting pretty much close to 9:30 by the time I got back to the computer. And so I only got to hear the final part. I didn't get to hear Heather, although I understand Heather was in a very uplifted mood. And apparently there's been a lot of calls coming through to Heather. I know the night before she had talked about Foster Gamble had been trying to reach her, and she hadn't yet made the connection. But Foster Gamble, for those of you that don't know, is one of the heirs of the Procter & Gamble fortune here in the United States. And I used to work for Procter & Gamble for almost 5 years, 4 3/4 years, in their paper-making division, where I was a process analyst. And I actually wrote some of their analytical methods and stuff like that way back when I lived up in Pennsylvania. But in any case, Lisa and Bob and some of the other ones were sharing last night how Heather was very, very euphoric almost. I don't know if they used that word, but it was very uplifting. And I will go back this morning and I will listen to the 3/4 that I didn't get to hear last night. But in any case, the OPPT has shifted a lot of things in the third dimension that will enable a smoother transition, as I see it, into the fourth and fifth dimensions for humanity, so that we don't have to go through some of the things that Drunvalo is saying, where we're going to have these solar flares and stuff knocking out all of our electronics and stuff like that. Eventually, we're not going to need electronics any more than we are going to need money or some of the other things. We're not even going to need food as we've known food. I suspect we may choose to still eat, but it will be quite different than what it is now. There won't be the horrible slaughterhouses and the horrible way animals are treated and raised, and maybe we won't even eat animals. I don't know. You know, some people would say no, we're not going to. I'm not sure of that. I don't equate higher consciousness with vegetarianism, although some people do. Some people even would equate it with breatharians that are able to live on just breathing alone. I don't know what the future is going to look like. I think it's going to be marvelous. I think it's going to be wonderful. And I do believe we're well established on timeline one, which is this moving into the higher dimensional reality. And I believe a lot of humans are getting it. Apparently, from what I gathered in the last part of Collective Imagination last night, apparently the power elite are ready to come to the table. And I'm assuming that's with Heather and perhaps some of the other trustees, but I know Heather's involved in it. And how she would be the key one doesn't surprise me, or I should say, not necessarily her personally, but that it's a woman that they're coming to call the shots, and to make this transition of the financial system into a higher dimension doesn't surprise me at all, because we moved at the winter solstice last year. We actually moved from the masculine into the feminine energies. So it was right after that, of course, that Heather completed the filings on Christmas Day of the One People's Public Trust, and we're actually now where the women are holding the cards, if you will. And I think that's a good thing, because it's going to equate to greater balance, greater harmony on the planet, much more wisdom, because the masculine has sort of got out of hand. And I'm excited about that, because I love the feminine energy, as those of you that have listened for a long time realize. I really, really, really like feminine energy, and yet I often seem to attract women that are still living a lot in the masculine energy, which I think we're actually moving into balance, is what we're moving into. And I think women are going to come more into balance with their masculine side, as well as men coming more into balance with their feminine side. But all of this points to higher dimensional realities that we're moving into. And I don't know, I mean, we talked about when we move into the fifth dimension, for sure, there's no more time. Possibly the fourth, there's no more time. I can't imagine a world anywhere without time. Quite honestly, I just can't. Because time is the gift, as I see it, that's been given for us to experience things sequentially instead of all at once. I don't know what it would be like to feel things and experience things all at once. Although part of me wants to know all the other parts of me and bring all the gifts home, all the latent talents and abilities that I have, to bring them all home so that I can use them all at once. And maybe that's what it means, no more timeline. But I still want to be able to experience things now. You know, I don't want all of the past to come rushing in and overwhelm me, or all of the future to create anxiety or whatever. I don't want that. I want to be able to live always in the now. And I was asked the question last night by Steve, well, how are you experiencing time right now? And truthfully, I sometimes have to stop and think what day it is or what time it is, because even my sleeping patterns, I don't necessarily sleep at night. I mean, in fact, I rarely sleep for more than 4 hours at any given stretch. That's just been the pattern for a long time. If I get more than 4 hours, that's a rarity for me. And it's never more than five, never more than five. But I get to sleep during the day. I mean, I've been going back to bed lately. I've been going back to bed right after I finish my video, and I usually don't get up until between 7:15 and 8 o'clock in the morning. After I go to bed around, what is it, about 6 o'clock, quarter to 6, 6 o'clock, I go to bed after I get everything done. Anyway, time is moving, or my perception of time is changing. It's less rigid and more flexible than it used to be, and maybe that's what it means, that time will be no more. I don't know what it's going to look like. And yesterday we talked about how fast are the changes going to manifest. I don't know. When I listen to some of the people, they say it's going to be another 3 or 4 years. I quite honestly, I don't feel that it's going to be that long. I really don't. And the excitement that Heather was expressing last night, that I didn't get to hear the details of, that people are coming to the table, so to speak. I mean, this is an indicative to me that there's going to be changes in some of the technology. We discussed this last night too. Right now, a chip implant, an RFID chip implant with the criminal government is not a good thing. But one of the people here last night said that the dimension that we're moving into, it might be an extremely good thing. It might give us greater abilities to tap into and to utilize for good. And that's the whole thing, folks. Timeline 1 is about using technology for good, and about using our gifts and abilities for good, for the higher good, to serve all creation with a win-win. Nobody loses. Not even the elite have to lose. They don't have to be losers in this. I know a lot of you feel like they've got to be punished for what they've done. And maybe some of them do, but I don't think all of them will. And punishment is never the goal. Reformation, change, transformation, those are the real goals. The goal is to get everybody on the frequency of love, vibrating at the higher frequency where we love. And love doesn't mean that you never feel fear. It doesn't mean that you never get angry or have what we've labeled as negative emotions. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have challenges anymore. God forbid that we move into a thing where we become totally apathetic and there's no dance between opposite poles, if you will, opposite energies. But the higher energies are what going to dominate, whereas before it was fear that was the dominant energy, if you will. Love will be the dominant energy in the fourth and fifth dimensions. It already is, and it's already here now, but we haven't fully experienced it yet. Just like the OPPT was the death knell for the corporate structure of our world that creates the fear, that generates the fear-based world. Just like that's the end of that with the OPPT, all of the changes are not yet manifest. And the higher dimensions aren't yet manifest, but they're already here. And some people are experiencing these dimensions more and more. I know I am. I sense a whole lot of other people are. And I want to encourage you that no matter what things look like, I mean, where are you going to put your focus? I'm not telling you don't look at the things that are negative, but how are you going to frame them? How do you see them? Do you see them as something horrible that's coming? Or do you see it as just a precursor indicative of the super change and the wonderful transformation that's actually occurring in the human spirit, which is going to affect every single being on the planet, human and non-human. And we are going to merge with our extra-dimensional, extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. We are going to come into greater cosmic awareness and cosmic and galactic connection. We're going to be able to travel like we've never been able to travel before. There's lots and lots and lots of good things on the horizon. And even the worst technologies that they've used for dark purposes, even that's changing. So cheer up and feel this placidity where the winds aren't blowing quite so hard in a threatening direction as they perhaps once seemed to be. That's all I'm going to share with you this morning, and once again I thank you for listening. Namaste.